Welcome back, everyone, to OpenLine. We are talking about how would a guaranteed basic income work in Nashville or work here in the United States. What is it, and how would it work? And we have three guests, all with the Nashville Economic Justice Alliance, who are joining us via Zoom to discuss this. And we're going to start taking calls. We kind of set the table with the first part of the show here, and let's just go to the phones now. Let's go to Ron. Hello, Ron.
Yes, sir.
Go right ahead.
Just a few basic things. Man, I love what y'all like to do, the whole point of it, but I'm a simple-minded person, if you'll bear with me. If you go to the parks and stuff, it says don't feed the wildlife, and that's the reason being is because they need to fend for themselves. The next thing I got is, there's jobs out there. Back when the pandemic hit and everybody got the stimulus, I went into Walmart and it really shocked me. I was looking at the TVs and there wasn't any TVs. Well, I guess everybody spent their money on TVs. I see people walking around with no car and or $1,000 cell phones. The next statement is, I think everybody needs to watch. It's a movie based. It's on back when the New World come about. The movie come over here from England. It's called The New World. They didn't get anything. There was nothing given. The only thing they had to depend on was the Lord and them working for themselves. I think if you spoil people, they're not going to want to work. It's that's pretty much what I got to say. Love everybody, and thank you for listening to me.
Well, Ron, you're not alone. All right, he put that in an interesting way. If you spoil people, they're not going to want to work. You heard all of Ron's concerns. I know, again, he's not alone. Who wants to talk to Ron here? Elois, go ahead.
Yes, I really appreciate Ron's call, and I appreciate Ron's observations and his interpretations of the observations. And that's one of the things that we were sharing a little earlier, is that people have been investigating to see how this does work, because we know that's a concern. If people won't work, we'll spoil them, or they'll spend the money in ways that aren't helpful for themselves. But we find that that's not true. I heard my brother give us a blessing and talking about the Lord's provision. I know for a fact that the scriptures talk so much about helping the people who are poor. There are really people who are poor, working 2 and 3 jobs, who are not getting ahead because they do not make enough money. So we're really talking about identifying people who have a very real need for some additional support that they are not getting through their labor. And the idea would be to get them to a place where they then can even assist others and then be able to function more independently and invest their money, and even, not even have to need an additional support. Okay.
All right. And so, yeah, you reject the idea that if you give people money, they won't work. You feel like maybe it gives them more freedom to go out and find a job they want to do, or something to that effect. But what about that concern?
Now,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's wonderful you actually said that, because you find out a lot of people have what we call a job, that they actually hate. It's a drudgery. Sometimes it's a form of slavery. And if people even had a little bit more freedom, then they could literally create their own businesses. I think the thing I would speak to now is we have to be very careful about the stereotypes. That's how we get into the isms. All people are like this. Poor people are like this. Black people are like this. White people are like this. So I think we need to investigate that type of thinking and be open to what we're learning that doesn't fit those models. And in this case, we know there are a lot of people who do not have enough livelihood to support their families, and we want to offer something that can help the poor, as the scriptures speak to.
Is it realistic to eliminate poverty? It's a noble goal. Is it a realistic goal?
Well, we think it's realistic to try. with the level of poverty that is currently being experienced, there are a lot of people who actually have jobs, but still are living in poverty based on this minimum wage that we often hear about. There's just not enough money to make ends meet. So the notion that not giving them adequate basic income will therefore force them to work, well, that's already being proven. People are working and they're still living in poverty, which is why this guaranteed basic income idea has gone global because of the increasing economic widening gap that we're all seeing in this country. And also, we know that the pandemic has made a lot of people reevaluate how they spend their monies, how we address poverty, how we address hunger, because now people have faced it for themselves, many for the first time. So it doesn't take a whole lot of natural disasters for any of us, any of us could be in the same situation. And so the idea of having a basic economic flooring so that you can therefore at least feed your family, I think it's worth certainly our best efforts.
Okay. All right.
And we mentioned the
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Oh.
I'm being told we have to take a break, but go ahead. And then Leonardo was on the line. I'm going to take Leonardo after this break, I promise. But go ahead.
No, I was going to say, just think about the example of the stimulus check. Maybe a few people have rejected it, but the whole notion is that we all have been impacted by something that has caused our incomes to be less. And when I say everybody, that didn't get true for some people, but we're not complaining about that. The point is we're helping those who need it. And the stimulus check is an example of that in terms of 3 times we've been able to offer people some relief and support.
Right. You could see the stimulus checks as kind of a jumping off point here.
It actually is.
Yeah, for this debate.
Yes.
Okay, all right, we'll take a break. Leonardo, thank you for holding, and I'm going to get to your call right after this. If you want to call in, there's the number. Take a break, be back right after this.